Welcome back, everybody. We're diving deep today into one of the most intriguing figures in the Marvel Universe, the one and only Black Widow.
Yeah, she's got quite the story.
Definitely. We're talking about Natasha Romanoff specifically. Her journey from, well, assassin to Avenger is,
Yeah.
it's incredible. We've got comics, MCU details, the whole works, ready to unpack it all.
Already.
Ever think about, like, how someone trained to, take lives could then become this symbol of hope, or what it takes to break free when your past is all manipulation?
Yeah. It's really interesting, especially with Black Widow, because her story goes way beyond just like super strength or spy skills. It's about confronting a past that's been, well, deliberately messed with.
Right, like piecing together who you are when you can't even trust your own memories.
Exactly.
So let's start at the beginning. The Red Room. Everyone's heard the name, but this isn't just some training ground.
Oh, no. This was the Soviet Union's like secret weapon program churning out these elite female assassins.
Natasha being one of them. And we're talking intense conditioning, physical and mental, from when they were young.
They weren't just training them, they were, well, molding them.
That's a good way to put it.
Imagine having your memories tampered with.
Whoa.
Never knowing what's real, what's been planted in your head. It creates this foundation of uncertainty, distrust, that shapes everything about how Natasha interacts with the world, with people.
Man, how do you even, like, start a normal relationship when you can't even trust what you remember?
Right. And it's not just the mental stuff either. We can't forget she's enhanced.
Right. The super soldier serum, or at least a version of it.
Yeah. So she's got peak human abilities. She ages slower. It's like from day one, she's operating on this whole other level, physically, mentally.
And for a long time, those skills were used for, well, the bad guys.
Right. In the comics, she starts out as an enemy of Iron Man.
Can you imagine? You think Black Widow, you think Avenger, but she was this skilled operative working against SHIELD, against some of the heroes we know and love.
It's wild. But then things start changing, right?
Yeah, through meeting Hawkeye, Nick Fury.
She starts to question everything, like all the stuff she was raised on.
It wasn't an overnight thing, though.
No, more like this gradual realization. Her abilities could be used for something else, something good. Seeing these heroes risking their lives for others, for a cause, it planted a seed, you know?
Yeah, like a seed of doubt, maybe, about what she'd always been told was right.
Exactly.
And then, bam, Scarlett Johansson comes in.
Oh, yeah.
MCU Black Widow, whole new audience, whole new level.
She just embodied that blend of strength, but also vulnerability. And that mysterious past always looming.
Johansson brought this, like, depth to the character. You could see the conflict inside her, the training battling with her, wanting something more.
Especially in Iron Man 2, her intro. What a way to make a first impression.
Talk about sneaky.
Natalie Rushman, harmless assistant,
Right.
turns out to be this top SHIELD agent. It plays with our expectations. It shows how Black Widow uses deception as a weapon.
It's brilliant. And then we see more of her. It just keeps getting more complex.
Oh, absolutely. In the Avengers, we see that connection with Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Hints at a shared past, something that messed them both up, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that line, I've got red in my ledger, chills every time.
Right. Such a simple line, but it reveals so much about her inner turmoil, her wanting to, like, make things right for the things she did.
It's like she's carrying the weight of all those past actions, trying to figure out how to balance the scales, you know? But she doesn't really have the answers yet at that point. Then we get to Captain America, the Winter Soldier. She's working with Steve Rogers. And it's a whole different dynamic.
Total shift.
Mm-hmm.
There's trust there, understanding.
She puts everything on the line to expose HYDRA. Like, everything.
Huge moment. Because you see her going from this lone wolf to, like, a team player. She starts to believe in something bigger, you know, fighting alongside people she can actually trust.
But then Age of Ultron hits.
Ooh, yeah.
And things get dark.
Real dark.
Those flashbacks to the Red Room, man.
Yeah, brutal. Forced sterilization. Just dehumanizing.
It's a whole other level of violation. Like, you think you know what they went through, but then they show us that.
It's a gut punch, for sure. It makes it so clear the price Natasha paid for her skills. The control the Red Room had over her life. Every part of it.
And it's that trauma, right, that really connects her with Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
They both see themselves as monsters, in a way, capable of huge destruction.
It's tragic, but it also makes sense. Like, they get each other's pain in a way most people can't.
Have you ever, like, felt betrayed by someone you really trusted, that feeling of the rug being pulled out from under you, that's like Natasha's whole life. She's had to learn how to trust in a world where everyone's lying, everyone's manipulating each other.
Makes you wonder how she even functioned for so long.
Right. It's incredible. And that's what makes her choice later on to sacrifice herself so powerful. Like she finally finds something worth fighting for, something bigger than her past, bigger than herself even.
Absolutely. Speaking of her past, we should dive into that Black Widow solo film. It finally gave us a real look at her family, her relationship with Yelena Belova.
Ooh, complicated, right.
Their dynamic is so interesting. Rivalry, but also like genuine affection. You can see Natasha trying to protect Yelena, keep her from going through what she did.
It's like she's trying to rewrite the script, not just for herself, but for other women caught in that system. And it adds a whole other layer to that idea of family. Because in the Black Widow film, we see her with Alexei, the Red Guardian, and Melina. It's this like twisted version of family, all tangled up in the Red Room mess.
Right. It makes you think about how our idea of family gets shaped by, well, by the situations we're in, the choices we make.
And for Natasha, who was robbed of that genuine connection for so long, those bonds become even more important, even if they're messy, even if they hurt sometimes.
You can definitely see that. And she'll fight for them, too. We see that with Clint, their partnership. They both get it, you know, that darkness they've both seen.
It's heavy stuff.
For sure. And then Endgame, that Vormir scene.
Oh, man.
Both of them, ready to sacrifice themselves for the Soul Stone. Talk about heartbreaking, but also, like, so powerful.
Yeah. You see how deep their bond goes, how they understand each other's pain.
Willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for the greater good. It's a lot.
It is. And it's crazy when you think about it, how Natasha goes from this weapon, you know, used by others,
Yeah.
to someone making her own choices, even when those choices cost her everything.
Huge shift. It's not just switching sides. It's confronting everything, taking responsibility, and then choosing a different path, actively choosing.
And it's not always pretty, right? Like in Age of Ultron when she talks about being sterilized, about feeling like a monster. That's raw.
It really is. Challenges that whole classic superhero thing, you know. She's strong, skilled, but still so messed up by what happened to her.
And it's in that vulnerability that she connects with the Banner, right?
Yeah.
They both see themselves as damaged, like capable of causing so much destruction.
Tragic, but it also highlights how, even when you're broken, you can find someone who gets it, someone who understands.
And then Endgame, that moment. Vormir. The sacrifice.
It's like everything, all her struggles led to that point.
That ultimate act of selflessness, giving up her life to save everyone.
It's rough, but it also feels right. Like the culmination of her whole arc.
She finally balances those scales, you know, atones for the red in her ledger. And we see the impact, even now, in the MCU. Yelena carrying on the legacy, fighting for what Natasha believed in.
It shows you, even though she's gone, her influence is still there, shaping things.
Inspiring others to fight, to break free from whatever's holding them back.
To make their own destiny. And it's amazing to think it all started with those early appearances, right? First as an enemy, then this complex figure in a world of secrets.
It gives you hope in a way, like second chances exist, redemption is possible, even for people who've done terrible things.
It reminds us that no one's beyond hope. Even if they've been manipulated, used, they can still find their own way to be a hero.
Speaking of those early appearances, Black Widow has come a long way. From those, like, simpler spy stories to the MCU, her story has really resonated with people. But it's not just the movies. Have you ever gotten into the comics?
Oh, yeah. There's some incredible storylines there. You see different sides of her, different challenges.
That kind of stuff.
Well, like, there's this one where she goes undercover in a criminal organization.
Whoa.
Has to make these tough choices to keep her cover.
Yeah.
Really pushes her, you know, forces her to confront that darker side of herself.
That's what's so cool about her. It's not just action, gadgets, it's that constant internal fight. Her training versus her desire for something more, something real.
And that struggle, I think a lot of people connect with that. We all question who we are, what we believe in. Black Widow's journey, it reflects that search for, like, identity, purpose. It's universal.
And it keeps going. With Yelena taking over, it's exciting to think, what's next for the Black Widow legacy? What'll she face? What enemies? How will she honor Natasha's sacrifice?
It really speaks to how strong the character is, that her story can keep evolving, going in unexpected directions.
That's what keeps people coming back, I think. They want to see how Black Widow will break the mold, defy expectations, and maybe inspire others to do the same.
Totally. Now, before we finish up our Black Widow deep dive, We got to give props to the talent behind the character. Scarlett Johansson, she was phenomenal in the MCU.
Seriously. Captured the strength, the vulnerability, everything. Made Natasha relatable even with all the, like, crazy abilities and stuff.
Johansson brought such nuance to the role. It wasn't just an action hero, it was a woman, dealing with trauma, wanting connection, trying to make things right. That performance, it stuck with people.
It did. And it reminds us, even with superheroes and all that, it's the human stuff that really gets us. The emotions, the relationships, the struggles, that's what we connect with.
And that's why Black Widow's story hits so hard. It's redemption, sacrifice, the strength we all have inside, even when things are dark.
So, wrapping up our Black Widow dive, think about this. What's the most important lesson we can learn from her? What parts of her character resonate with you? And how can we take that, apply it to our own WN lives?
It really makes you think, huh, all that packed into one character, from weapon to hero, dealing with, well, manipulation, loss, a past she couldn't escape.
And she never gives up on trying to protect others, break that cycle of violence, makes her sacrifice in Endgame hit even harder.
It's like she chooses to give her life not just for the universe, but so others might not have to go through what she did.
Such a selfless act, right? Especially when you think how much control is taken from her. The Red Room, they made her a tool. But in the end, she makes the ultimate choice, the one that gives everyone a better future.
It's powerful stuff. Like she breaks free, not by running or fighting back, but
Yeah.
through this incredible compassion. And that's what Yelena inherits. We see her wrestling with those same questions, wanting to fix things, but now she's got Natasha's example to follow.
It's like passing the torch, but with so much more weight behind it.
Definitely. And it makes you realize, even though our deep dive's ending, Black Widow's story isn't. There's so much potential for where her legacy goes, both in the MCU and for all the people she inspired.
It's exciting, right? What adventures Yelena will have, the choices she'll make. Will she be different from Natasha? Or feel that pressure to live up to the legend?
Probably a mix of both. Yelena's her own person with her own skills, experiences, but Natasha's sacrifice, the lessons she learned, those will stick with her.
It's like those ripples we talked about. Natasha might be gone, but the impact keeps spreading, changing the world in ways she might never have imagined.
That's the thing about these stories. They get you thinking, spark your imagination, and you carry that wonder with you.
They remind us that even made-up characters can teach us things, about being brave, bouncing back, and how powerful connections can be.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So, as we wrap this up, remember, Black Widow's story, it's more than just action and spies. It's about finding yourself, wanting to be better, and that strength we all have inside, even when things are tough.
Beautifully put. And even though we covered a lot, there's always more to uncover. Keep exploring those comics, the movies, all the possibilities. You might find something that sparks your own journey, inspires you to make your own mark on the world.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe you will be the one writing the next Black Widow chapter. Just one piece of advice. Trust your gut and watch out for anyone trying to mess with your memories.
Until next time, folks, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep diving deep into whatever captures your imagination.